is made of gas. It is Jupiter. Look. So guys, this is my mommy and your
Welcome back to our special coverage of the treadmill abuse murder trial. I'm Michael Ayala. A key moment played out inside that New Jersey courtroom today. Outside the presence of the jury, the prosecution played a body cam video of the defendant in Tennessee. This is on April 4th, 2021, just 2 days after 6-year-old Corey Micciolo died. Christopher Gregor was stopped by Alcoa Police Department, and the prosecution claims that Gregor was fleeing New Jersey. He left right after he dropped his son off at the hospital. Here's some of that body cam video, which is hard to hear in some parts.
I mean, and he's shaking like a leaf, like his wallet's in his lap. He starts reaching somewhere else, and Adam's like, whoa, what are you doing? The wallet's right in your lap. See it. And he's like, he puts his hand on the screen while he's doing this number. I'm like, you don't know, and of course you don't know what's going on. While he was what the dog says. There's plenty of dog hair in there. There's plenty of dog hair in there. Looks like it's at least a 15, I would think.
I've never heard that old for a search warrant. Search warrant, tell you what.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is he connected with the murder, or, you know, there's evidence in here that needs to be, because he was mentioning something about his son died, and some other stuff, blah, 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 blah. Some stuff. Is he being investigated for child death? I mean, why would you be down here from New Jersey, pick someone up? Maybe each house in airport all places. If she just flew from New Jersey, their stories don't make sense. And when he came out, I was with Adam at that stop. Elsie's on. I'm like, I'm right here. And then I looked, they didn't give it out until like 2 minutes after the fact.
Well, I think they've gone past the split.
Yeah. You know, usually, you know, because I saw him left and didn't at the gas station or whatever. I'm like, well, I ain't seen it, so he's going to the airport. He's about to get the split. I was reading that, I'm like, first of all, I'm like, where is that?
That's out there.
I'm like, holy hell.
After that, all the county fell out.
Oh yeah, you got it busy. But then on the screen, next thing I see like a pursuit on there, I'm like, what the?
All right, we'll take a break here. When we come back, we aren't done with the police body cam of the defendant in Tennessee. See the rest of his encounter with police just 2 days after his son died.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, the killer or cover-up murder trial. As more details emerge surrounding Karen Reed and the murder of John O'Keefe, our experts break down today's testimony and the impact it could be having on this jury. Plus, the Doomsday Prophet murder trial moves forward in an Idaho courtroom. Our think tank weighs in as Chad Daybell faces the death penalty.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Oh.
Corey, Travis, Micciolo. He liked the solar system. He liked to play outside. His mom describes him as silly and happy. Corey was 6 on April 2nd, 2021, when his father murdered him. His father is this defendant, Christopher Gregor. This defendant is guilty of abuse and murder because healthy 6-year-olds don't just die during the course of a business day, and neither did Corey Micciolo.
2 days after his 6-year-old son, Corey Micciolo, died, Christopher Gregor was found in Alcoa, Tennessee. Well, the prosecution claims that he was fleeing New Jersey. The body cam of Gregor being pulled over by police was shown in court today outside the presence of the jury. I want to show you more of that tape now, and it's just a warning. It is hard to hear at some points.
Like I said, and I mean, like I said, I think I said we've had 2 things that don't add up to your race. And that's usually where I keep my wallet, and I didn't realize that it wasn't there. And I played football, so I might have CTE short for that. I played outside linebacker. D2 schools, NAIA, which is kind of like D2, Lakeland, Florida, at Southeastern University, I go to Christian school. But yeah, I mean, playing against the baseball, I played okay. But like I said, when I first got out of the car and you guys searched me, I had searched. I had searched. I was there. Just made sure that
Make sure you didn't have like a grenade stuck in your pants.
Exactly. But if that was you, I apologize because I'm like coming with it. But I said I don't mind if you guys search my people at all. Like there's nothing that I'm hiding. I'm really not. So I'm not worried.
We'll get to that very soon in a minute. So we're just hanging tight and trying to figure everything out while we're doing all this. So
sure. I imagine that you guys would know if there was a warrant associated with that. Not necessarily. I'm like, State of New Jersey is ran by Democrats. So we don't communicate very well. You and me both. But I'm just, I don't know. Like, this is kind of got me a little freaked out, Like, I was one to call Timmy's, but I got plans for lunch, and I don't have any there. He didn't have any bruising on him, and I knew when he got home he was something was wrong with my gut, but I just thought she had wrong weight from everything that he needed sleep. And I should have took him right this day. A lot of these things, like, it's partially my fault in the sense that if they truly did something, it wouldn't, like, you had to shoot right for the drug addict coming, but he'd still be alive if I never came back from Baltimore to fight the custody. And, like, that's been going through my head this whole drive. They planted marijuana in my people before, and I got arrested for that in New Jersey. That's marijuana. And I lost my teacher. I don't know.
All right, so this was played by the state outside the presence of the jury to proffer whether they could present it to the jury. And in the end, the judge ruled that the body cam would not be entered into evidence. He said there was too much prejudicial information contained in it and lots of hearsay from the police officers. All right, still with us to discuss, Deputy Public Defender for Los Angeles County, Philip Dubé. Philip, this flight issue was a bad one for the defendant as well. It gets bad to worse. You got the video on the treadmill. And I'm not even sure if this isn't worse, the fact that once the information that his son has died, he basically leaves the hospital. This comes out, we saw it earlier, on the cross of the father by the state, that he leaves Corey alone in the hospital and goes on the run. And he's out there for 2 days. Eventually he comes back. He's convinced by the grandfather and the grandmom to come back, but it just looks terrible for him.
Yeah, of course it does. And frankly, I can probably count on one finger how many judges would have excluded that video, frankly. He was lucky that the judge had some compassion and excluded it. And it probably was prejudicial. But if we're honest, all evidence is prejudicial. Nothing really helps the defendant when you have to fight it. But the judge in the end did him a favor. But ultimately, I think he has a much steeper hill to climb, if you will. I think in order for him to get past everything that has been introduced against him, he's going to have to show that the forensics were off. He is going to have to show that this child died of something else other than physical abuse. And they need to bring that expert in to testify about the effects of sepsis on the human body and what effects it could have on the skin, whether or not it would cause the appearance of bruises, redness, that type of thing, where a pathologist or even a pediatrician could mistake those outward symptoms for something more nefarious. Otherwise, I don't see any way out for him, and we'll see what they've got. I don't know which expert they're putting on, but that's all he's got right now.
Yeah, you know who they're putting on? They're putting on Dr. Michael Baden. That's who they're calling. Yeah. So he's what do you call him? A celebrity forensic pathologist. We've seen him in a number of high-profile cases. Do witnesses like that actually move the needle? I've seen tons of these in cases, I'm sure you have as well. When you have him pitted against the state, the guy who comes in, and it's actually going to shape up to be a pretty good battle of the experts, because that's the expert that state's going to call coming up next week. We're going to hear from Dr. Michael Baden, so they're going to come one right after the other. How does that work?
Well, as a practical matter, the general public doesn't know who forensic pathologists are. No matter how published they are, how many trials they've testified at, in the end, basically they're just expert physicians, if you will. In this particular case, they're doctors of forensic pathology and the study of disease. The practical reality of it is they are not people who come down the red carpet like music artists, actors, and other celebrities. People perhaps in the true crime world might be familiar with him because he does make a lot of appearances on national news, certainly in celebrity trials and media cases. But otherwise, I think the general public and certainly this jury may never even heard of him.
Christopher Gregor, does he have to take the stand now? All that we've heard, all the chips are against him. I mean, at some point, you've got to make a decision. What do you think?
Yes, it can't get any worse. He has got to get on the stand and say that, yes, he may have had an autocratic coaching style in how he raised the child. And in hindsight, he wishes he would have done it differently. But as we all know, parents don't come with instructions. But he has got to look those jurors in the eye and tell them he never intended to end the kid's life, that it may have been a little bit of horseplay and roughhousing in his mind, but that there was never an intent to end the child's life.
Yeah, it's the only shot he's got. All right, Philip Dubé, thank you so much for taking out the time to be with us tonight. Really appreciate it.